Have you ever had an uninvited guest? Someone who just shows up in town and, surprise, they're staying with you for a while. You don't really have time to be hospitable. You're busy. And frankly, you never really liked them that much to begin with. They sort of just sit at the kitchen table taking up space. You keep dropping hints for them to leave, and they're just not picking them up. So you do your best to tolerate them and silently count the minutes until they leave. Many of us who went through the Eaton fire still find ourselves displaced from our homes, and yet we are living with an uninvited guest. That uninvited guest is grief. Grief has shown up with its many heavy suitcases to stay with us. We'll talk more about this guest again in a moment. Altadena is where I learned to grieve. I met the love of my life here in 2010. We had our first kiss in Rubio Canyon, watching the sunset. We bought our home near the top of Lake Avenue. It's where he spent 2 years sick with cancer before he passed. I was widowed at age 35. After this, I experienced how uncomfortable people are with loss and grief. How well-meaning people can think they're doing the right thing, but say the wrong thing and cause greater pain or push the griever further away. Some friends and neighbors knew exactly how to help, and others didn't. I heard people tell me, everything happens for a reason. And I thought, read the room. I heard people tell me, look on the bright side. And I thought, oh, there is no bright side here. These grief platitudes are code for, I don't want to deal with your reality, right? It makes me uncomfortable to see you in pain. But the reality is twofold. These grief platitudes do not soothe an aching soul. And no one ever taught any of us what to say. After the loss of my partner, I learned everything I could about grief. I connected with other widowed people. I supported hundreds of other grievers. I volunteered as much as I could. I have witnessed firsthand the positive impact a community makes when it knows how to truly support grief. As we rebuild Altadena and make it a beautiful place to live once more, we have the opportunity to change our perspective on grief, develop a relationship with it, and integrate it into our daily lives. I believe there are 2 ways in particular that we must change our relationship with grief. The first is to change the way we hold our own grief. The second is to change the way we hold the grief of others. For our own grief, as we face loss as enormous and profound as what happened here in Altadena, we must accept the hard truth that the Eaton fire was a life-altering event. That means there is everything before the fire and everything after the fire. This is the starting point to acknowledge what can and cannot be fixed, what has changed for the time being and what has changed forever. We acknowledge that the change can sometimes feel so deep in us that it's like we lost a part of our identity, like we lost a sense of ourselves. And we might ask ourselves, who am I now after knowing such deep loss? This blow to our identity is wildly unsettling. So we desperately try to go back to who we were before. We say to ourselves, if I can just fix this part of my life, this thing, I'll be me again. Our instinct to fix is based on the myth that grief is something to get through as quickly as possible, so we can move on with our lives. We see a mountain in grief, and we say, if I can get to the other side, everything will be okay. But the truth is, we can rebuild, but it will never be the same. The truth is, We can move forward, but it will always hurt. The truth is, we can tend to our grief, but our grief will never go away. And since grief is something we carry forever, can we reimagine our relationship with it? Allow it to be a part of our story instead of a bad word, or the elephant in the room, or even worse, a part of us that we don't like. All parts of us deserve to be loved and heard, even the parts that we gained from heartbreaking experiences. Holding our grief means listening to what it is desperately trying to tell us instead of saying to it, "I can't wait until you're gone." When we begin to accept our grief as part of what it means to be deeply human, we discover more ease around it. Sitting with grief as neither good nor bad, but part of life, we discover our new core selves. We discover a way to become more wholehearted people. And accepting our grief doesn't mean what happened was okay. In fact, it's just a kinder way to carry ourselves. The second shift we can make in our relationship with grief is to change the way we hold the grief of others. Let's reimagine an Altadena where everyone is grief literate, where we know what to say to our neighbors, how to hold space for our neighbors, and that there is no timeline or expiration date on our grief. What would it feel like to live in that Altadena? A community that supports each other with such kindness and compassion that it becomes part of our collective identity. We become known for it. All right, I'm going to share a little secret with you. Here's the secret for how to speak to someone in deep grief. Validate their experience without fixing their feelings. That's it. Validating their experience means saying, "I am so sorry. Yes, it was that bad." And you let it be about them and not you. We take turns grieving. We take turns holding space. You say, "I hear you. Tell me more." The purpose is to bear witness to the other person's. The purpose is to bear witness to the other person's experience. Allow it to be uncomfortable. If it's uncomfortable, you're probably doing it right. You can hold space for people without denying them their experience. You're allowed to say, "I wish there was something I could say to make you feel better, but there isn't. But I'm here with you." As Altadena navigates the aftermath of the Eaton fire, we are facing a likely long-term mental health crisis relating to grief for decades or longer. This is our opportunity to reimagine how we hold each other in Altadena, not just around the fire, but after any future loss. This current time is not just about survival, but also grieving the people, the animals, the homes, the schools, the businesses, and parks. Everything we lost. And while doing so, we must ask ourselves the question, who do we want to be as a community in 10 years? Now is the time to consider that future. All right, so remember that uninvited guest that showed up? I want to do something a little radical with you, so I'd like to ask everyone to close your eyes or look down and imagine with me. Imagine that guest, the one that you didn't invite, the one awkwardly sitting at the table, the one you can't wait to get rid of, the one you've been ignoring, counting the minutes until they're gone, that guest. Suddenly you realize that that guest is your grief, and it isn't going anywhere. And knowing it has moved in with you permanently, wherever you are, it's there. And knowing that reality, you find yourself sitting down at the table with it. You begin to talk to it. You ask it questions. It tells you that it's in pain. You reach across the table, you hold its hand, and you say, "I am here with you. over the coming days, weeks, months, and years, this uninvited guest, this annoyance, begins to be your friend. You have tea with it. You listen to it sometimes. It has left its prominent seat at the table and gotten cozy in the corner where it watches your day-to-day life, the triumphs, celebrations, and occasional sadness. And occasionally, it gets up from the corner and will join you and your loved ones at the table. At times when you have capacity, you'll ask it if it wants to go for a walk. And you'll walk around the old neighborhood. You'll tell stories. You'll remember things. You'll laugh and you'll cry. And you just might realize that this uninvited guest, this annoyance, the one you wish had never come into your life, has become a part of it, a part of you. And though you know if you could snap your fingers and go back in time and fix things, you would. But this uninvited guest now has become a part of your story. May you hold your story and the stories of others with compassion. Thank you.